Good morning. This is Bobby Dupree with the Bobby Dupree Show, presented to you each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. for the first viewing. And of course, many of you are listening to it on the radio, 1230 a.m. on your dial, and the sister company, 105.3 FM on your dial. And of course, we now with radio reach out into a much larger listening area, and we appreciate KSLO and 105.3 for bringing the program throughout the area that they broadcast. And of course, a lot of you watching it on local TV antennas, but most are cables, and the cable companies in St. Landry, I'll get it out in a minute. In St. Landry Parish is basically the largest is Charter, but Allen's TV service takes care of a good portion of the southern end of the parish, St. Landry Parish, and over in Leonville and Ornerville and Port Barre areas. And of course, they may even show some of it in their St. Mary Parish area.
I think so.
So we have a large area, and then of course Cox Cable carries us in about six or seven parishes.
Cox,
9, and then Southern Link in Evangeline Parish. So we reach out there, and then worldwide on the internet. And people are surprised when they read the back of my business card and it says internet, and a lot of them will ask you, is this real? I said, it's been real. We like to say we were the first one to do streaming live programming in the world. But maybe somebody else beat us, but nobody around here for sure.
I saw the royal wedding will be live streamed on YouTube. I don't know if you saw some of that. So they catching up. The King of England is catching up to you, right?
Well, that could be. Yeah. And we're gonna show. I'm gonna show a couple, and I want to apologize to Pat and Alice Morrow and their daughter and family and all. It didn't take more pictures than I did, but they had professionals there, and you just don't want
to get in the way.
Get in the way. I know I've watched you do the same thing.
You got to be careful. That's right.
You got to be careful. But it was the Prince William and Kate hopefully had someone in New Orleans taking notes about the Morrow Lopez wedding that took place Friday night, because it was down to the T. Well, beautiful ceremony.
Somebody asked me, said, why is it all the way down in New Orleans? I said, well, that was the biggest Bill and Pat could find was the Superdome. Because you know Pat.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing short when he does a project. He does it always first class.
And that was his last child to get married. His other daughter was married, and of course, their son, Craig's been married.
So he's learned a lot, so he could show everything he had learned. On the last one.
Learned on it. It was fun, but we'll show a couple of pictures a little bit later. But maybe Prince William heard about it and had somebody. Hopefully they did, because they could have picked up a couple of ideas, I'm sure.
Good morning. I'm Andrew, by the way.
Yeah, this is Andrew, my sidekick.
Good morning.
And I guess the big news on April 20th, it's a one-year anniversary of the Gulf oil spill that took place. And on Tuesday night, I was watching television, I guess starting around 8 or 9 o'clock, and it was on CNN, and they did a tremendous job of going over a lot of the main details of what has transpired during this 1 year period.
And let's not forget what it all comes back to. The oil spill is what's going to affect us ongoing. But let's also not forget the explosion itself, that so many good, hardworking men lost their lives in the actual explosion.
That's correct. And their families. There's an article in the Advertiser of that would be Wednesday, April the 20th. And it's got a photo of each guy in there. And noticed in the newspaper, and I might have briefly mentioned it last week, that 5 of the families had settled with Transocean. Now, last night there were 2 young widows that were interviewed. and they were not too high on Transocean. They have recently met with Mr. Feinberg, who's handling the settlements for BP. He says independently, and he promises it is independent, that he was given this $20 billion amount to work with, and they've now issued checks totaling almost $4 billion. So there's still a lot of money left. These two young ladies were very complimentary about Mr. Feinberg. They went to him a couple of weeks ago when things seemed to be dragging. Right. And they went to him, and after they spoke, he was brought into the picture. You know how they scanned him in, brought him into the conversation. And he says that he's going to do everything he can to settle those claims with the young widows, mostly young people involved. Sure. And of course, it's a sad.
We had these guys working on the rig. You know, they weren't working to
Blair Manuel from the Eunice area.
Right. They weren't working to get prettier. They were working to make money to better pay bills for families and children. And maybe some of the guys were single, but they're trying to get settled and start on their own lives.
And, you know, Gordon Jones. I know his daddy very well. Keith Jones, and I guess if had time to study all the family, we maybe know a few more. Sure. But in the last 10 months, you almost forgot about the 11 men that got killed.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the sad part. And I think they did a nice job, like the front page of the Daily Advertiser, letting them know that it's more than just a fire. It's more than losing a drilling rig. It's more than losing some dolphin in the Gulf. I mean, it's
about people.
It's about people. And then the people's lives that have been affected. And it looks like most of the families that are affected and the businesses appear to be in Louisiana, nearly all of them.
Yeah, mostly local
the others, the coastline, but they were able to get the what do you call those little
tar balls.
Tar balls. They were able to pick those up pretty readily, and they still complaining that they still need crews out there now because
to monitor and make sure if it comes out in case of a storm.
Well, every day they should have a crew out there, because from now on is when Destin and Alabama and all through Florida, tourism comes in a big way. So to everybody that's been affected, you certainly have our feelings are with you, and hopefully more can be accomplished in the second year. And I noticed the oyster man at Sycamore Point, Bill Parker. There was an extensive article about Bill Parker and his business, how it's been affected with his oyster plant and all. He's having problems with some of the oysters that they are catching. Harvesting would be a better word. Harvest. They finding maybe some problems, and it's only in that one area where he had a lease, because most of them are very good.
And a lot of the oyster issue is not about the oil, it's about the fact that they pumped a lot of fresh water to keep the oil away.
Exactly.
And the fresh water kills the oysters.
I forgot to mention that. You are correct.
That's kind of how that works.
How that worked in the Louisiana oysters, where most of the oysters are coming from that you're eating now, coming out of Texas.
It may take 3 years for those crops to get right. But while we're talking about the seafood, you know, there is plenty of very good Louisiana seafood. You know, they've been testing it, and it grades as high as it's ever graded in history. You know, because I mean, they've never been tested more than being tested now. I mean, they're making sure. Steamboat Warehouse in Washington, get mom away from the smell of her own cooking. This past week, I brought the family out. We ate, and all we had, just to make sure that the seafood was good, so you would know, all we ate was oysters, crawfish, and shrimp, and alligator, and crab. That's all we ate. But besides that, you know, I can't vouch for everything else. Oh, and fish too. We had fish too. So 6 types of seafood. all excellent, all good food. Go to Steamboat Warehouse. If you like steaks, steaks second to none as well. That good Angus beef that they get from all over the world, good high quality, good cuts of meat. And the wine selection, unbelievable. The beer selection, get an adult libation. They make those old-time Bloody Marys that you and I enjoy so much with those pickle zadikos in them. Walk out on the porch, the weather's beautiful. Go have a good time in Washington Steamboat Warehouse. What else you want?
Well, they had some articles in the paper of Wednesday's Morning Advocate, and one of the young men being interviewed, of course, was Tiny Prudhomme. Probably 2 years ago, I took a picture of Tiny and his place of business, and he does a lot of catering, and I think I showed some big, huge 84-quart ice chests that were packed with food that was being taken out to a rig site. So
he's down in Broussard.
He's in Broussard, Louisiana. So he's making it. He's had to kind of change. He's not just depending on that one oil industry.
Right.
He's moved out into others. And then there was an article, and what's Melançon's name? M&M convenience store in Leonville, Louisiana. He's part of a business that they started, 4 young men started, and of course they have been affected a good bit. They were considering moving that. Melançon, what's his name? But anyhow, y'all know who I'm talking about, especially the people around Leonville. They were considering going to Brazil and do some work there, because some of the companies that were doing business in the Gulf have moved some of their rigs over there.
Right.
But it looks like the rig activity is getting ready to kick off back in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's good news. And okay.
Benny's Supermarket, all your grocery needs, go buy Benny's here in town. I'm on that Benny's diet right now. Guess everybody been commenting today I had to tighten up the belt. You told me it looked like my pants were going to fall to my knees. I go over there and I get my salad, and I get some of that fresh green apples and oranges and bananas, good fruit to eat instead of some of that junk food. But if you want to have a couple of snacks and some potato chips on the football game, they got that kind of stuff as well in baseball games right now. They've got 7 days a week the deli. You can get either the salad where you're watching your weight, or you can go and get you some rice and gravy, some fried fish, all that type of stuff. They've got it there at Benny's. 7 days a week, good home style cooking, all the groceries you want, and of course Blake's Brew House there in the back with a great selection of imported beers. Over 80 flavors, more than Baskin Robbins has.
I picked up 22 Boston butt steaks on Monday. Right. Monday afternoon. Ray was helping me, Ray Bello, and I had volunteered to do the cooking for the Bi-State Fishing Rodeo, our last Louisiana side members, and we're 22. And I'll tell you what, the steaks came out, the butcher did a beautiful job. I gave him some instructions of how I didn't want the big long ones, I wanted them smaller, so Ray told him where to look for those sizes.
KSLO will see on the other side of 3.
And then from there, I went and picked up, I didn't want us to have to do anything but cook the steaks. And from there, we picked up some potato salad, which they make a ton of it every week, 7 days a week, and sweet potatoes, just, scrumptious. And I picked up some garlic bread, and that was the whole meal right there. So we want to thank Benny's, and want to thank Ray Bello for doing the cooking also.
How about this? We got Heart of a Musician is coming up. This is Johnny Saunier. A lot of people know him for, Cherie Alice, I guess is the name of the song that he sings. A lot of people know. Cowboys Nightclub is going to do a benefit for him. He had some heart surgery done with no medical insurance. The date of the fundraiser is May 15th. It's just a couple of weeks away, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Cowboys. Jambalaya cook-off, poker run, auctions, raffles. Call Ashley Guidry, 230-0343 to help our good friend Johnny Saunier out.
I think I know Ashley Guidry. And he played here next door at Toby's a number of times and years.
There you go. And we got the Man to Man's Men Conference that's going on April 30th at the Cajun Dome Convention Center. Don't forget, Rudy from Notre Dame is going to be the guest speaker, the headliner, and Father Larry Richards will be there, and Jesse Romero, the martial arts kickboxer. So go by on April 30th at the Cajun Dome Convention Center.
The annual community Easter sunrise service, sponsored by the area churches in the Port Barre area, will be held Easter morning.